Stephen,
Andrew.
do you fancy spending a quiet night inside number 9?
I think we should.
All right, we're going back into the script books again. We're currently going through series 4 to 6. And today we're looking at episode 3 of series 4, Once Removed.
It's so good. It's such a good episode.
It's a very good episode. And weirdly, we both had the same thought this week about the Insider's Guide to Inside Number 9, which we'd always intended to do an episode about the event that accompanied the release of that book, but we never did. And I was thinking earlier this week, I was like, I'm sure these episodes are talked about or written about in that book. I'm going to go and have a look. And lo and behold, there they are. And I was like, we're sitting on a gold mine here and we haven't utilized
we absolutely are.
And then you sent me a message saying, I've had an idea. It's like, whoa.
It's, to have something there to sort of supplement our looking at the scripts, especially as we've found so far, these scripts are quite tight to what was filmed. So to have something, an extra angle on things is useful.
It very much is. Yeah. Yeah. And I did get excited. I was reading through the Once Removed part of the Insider's Guide. And there's a reference to the fact that, they had all the ideas around like through the scripting process. And then when they got onto location, they realized, there's some stuff that's going to change here because it's we're going to react to what we're finding around us geographically. And actually, I was like, there must be loads of stuff that's going to be completely different. And again, there's not a huge amount that's completely different, but there's some good stuff that they've written about in there that we can pick up on as we go.
Yeah, one thing I did find quite interesting reading about the process for this one, and I don't know, having not read the other episodes in quite as much detail, they're kind of talking about characters receiving the script and then sending back a whole load of really detailed, fleshed out stuff. I don't know if that then caused them to go back or if that kind of just changes direction and things like that. Is it a set of notes that came back from I think it was Monica Dolan, they were talking about May's, the actress who played May. Did that fundamentally change anything that she was going to say, or was it just her saying, right, this is the backstory I'm bringing to this character just so you're aware? And I think that's so amazing that you've got people who are willing to invest this much of themselves into what is essentially a one-off guest appearance for a 30-minute episode of a show.
Yeah.
And there's other bits. I think they were trying to get other people into some of these episodes that they've missed out on previously, and they suddenly saw an opening, a slot to get them back in again. And people really want to be in this program.
Yeah.
And really want to give it their all.
Yeah, I think it's said about Amelia Fox.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, she was scheduled to be in one of the other episodes and then couldn't do the filming dates, and was really desperate to be part of it. And then it actually sort of managed to line it up so that she could be in this. And it's really weird to think that, isn't it? I always find it weird. Any conversations around like alternative casting for anything, like whether it's you're talking about sort of movies or you're talking about TV series. And because you can't really imagine, especially watching this, it's like, no, Amelia Fox is Natasha. Yeah. And then also she's not whatever she would have been. They don't sort of say what she was originally cast to be in. But she's not that. So yeah, it's like things, it's almost like that idea of destiny being, well, it's just what happens in the end, isn't it? And that's what, how things turned out rather than how things were meant to be. But yeah.
Because you imagine with the way these characters are, and I guess it's because of people like Monica Dolan going to that effort that you're right, they are that character, aren't they? That looks like it was written for that person. It looks
Yeah.
like they had that in mind. They had her in mind when they wrote this. Who knows?
Speaking of that, like Hugo, when Hugo arrives and he's written, obviously that's Steve's character. He's written as a brash young estate agent. I was wondering, did Stephen Reese know what they would be playing at the beginning? Because then there's also a reference to Reese's character where he's referred to as a young man. And I was like, this is great. I mean, you've obviously got control over the fact that you can stroke your own egos a little bit. Be like, no, we're Steve, you'll play the young upstart estate agent.
Reese also writes himself in the next episode as the part of the young married couple.
Maybe he was going through a bit of a period.
A bit of a breakdown going on during this series. God, we can be young. We can make ourselves young. We can write ourselves young again. All right, Reese.
So true. What I was really reminded of with this episode was the joy of Chekhov in reverse. There's a few of those. I'm sure we probably mentioned this in the original, where you're sort of seeing almost the equivalent of the gun being fired in the first scene, and it's like, well, if the gun's fired in the first scene, you need to know where it comes from by scene 3. The screwdriver is used in the first scene or the first act. You need to know that's an important part that you need to know the origin of by the end. And I kind of love that. Yeah, the reversal of those ideas. And they talk about that in the Insider's Guide of how complex it was to try
they said they had
get this working.
They had to film it in chronological because you can't try and retrospectively set up a scene. You need to have that natural progression of where things end up.
Yeah.
So you need that to have been where it was at the end of that last scene, because otherwise it looks out. It looks like you lose that flow. The
continuity. You'll have all the goof people picking up on that. Well, that doesn't work. Yeah.
Who was the guy with the clipboard who used to present? There was a whole program dedicated to just that, wasn't there? It was like on ITV on a Saturday night.
Picking up on goofs in programs.
Yep, exactly that. And what an incredible idea for a program that is.
Oh, yes. I remember. Yes, I do remember that.
Was it It'll Be All Right on the Night or something?
That does ring a bell. I think it was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was called It'll Be All Right on the Night. Dennis Norman with his clipboard. A whole program dedicated to mistakes being made by people in the television industry who were probably mortified the first time they caught that.
Yeah. That's the worst program that you want to...
Ultimate Schadenfreude, like.
Absolutely. Yeah. And because it's one of the things at the end of that chapter in the book, they talk about, the fact that it was one of the most watched episodes on iPlayer, and, somebody pieced it together the other way around to make sure it all worked. And I was like, I feel for you guys, like the effort that you've clearly had to put into making this work as well as it does. And I think you do when you just watch programs like this, you just take things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
But like I found, as following it along with the script book and having read that chapter and knowing all that stuff, it's like, actually, they've done a great job here. And it must be infuriating where you get people who just want to pick it apart and say, no, this doesn't work.
Who jump on their little podcast.
Yeah.
But I don't think we looked for any or found. I'd struggle to find.
Well,
to be honest.
I don't think that's really what we do, is it?
No, no, we're not Dennis Norden. The Dennis Norden of Inside Number 9.
No. I think it's a celebration of Inside Number 9 rather than a critique, in the sense of, because I think what gets me about those sorts of critiques when it's people who don't make shows, they're not in the industry in that sense. It's like, do you really have a right to like, well, let's see your little program first and then we'll compare.
I like that the way you've already belittling it.
Yeah, I always feel like
that.
I always feel that when I see people tearing things apart. It's like, okay, let's see your little program.
You have a go. That's not to say that everything on television is above criticism.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But Inside Number 9 is pretty good.
Yes, it is.
So let's start at the beginning. Did you pick up on anything in the first section that was different between the script and the finished product?
I know you've just mentioned like filming location constraints and things, and there were a couple of bits that were a little bit different. It was on the number 9's on a wall rather than on a gate post. And the guy knocks on the door. He doesn't use the doorbell.
And he doesn't honk his horn.
He doesn't honk his horn. No. Why does the horn not honk?
That's the perpetual question that I'm always asking. And I think you've sort of touched on a thread that we see throughout this episode.
Yeah. I'm sure I repeatedly see adverts for help with things like that whilst watching Sky Sports.
There's a lot on Sky Sports, yeah. Newman and
Newman, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a running theme throughout a lot of the initial conversations with the removals guy from Handle Me Gently.
Yeah, he's quite open about his erectile dysfunction. And that sets up a few references that we will, I think, pick up on. Which, again, like I remember we talked quite in depth about Yonk's and Donkey's years and all that sort of stuff on the original, I think. If I remember correctly.
So. I think so.
Because it's a great question. It's a great conversation to have.
It is.
And did we talk about why a donkey's year is long?
Donkey's ears are long.
Oh, yeah.
Donkey's ears.
Donkey's everything. Oh,
is that what it is?
I don't know.
If only we had the internet at our fingertips. Says Donkey's ears. It was about that. The English humorous writer Edward Verrall Lucas used the phrase that way in his novel The Vermilion Box in 1916. Now for my first bath in what the men call donkey's ears, meaning years and years. Oh, hang on, maybe not. Maybe not. This is all over the shop. No, ignore that. I think someone had the same idea as I did, and then tried to make it fit.
And
so to speak.
What's the proper origin?
It was a very long article. I'm not going to take you through it right now.
Okay, cool.
That's another mystery for another day.
Go and do your research, guys.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Actually, don't. I'll just read the article.
I won't.
Just not out.
Too long, won't read. Because Richard Stilgoe was also a reference there when Percy comes down the stairs and reveals that he thinks he's Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Mm-hmm.
And, my immediate thought was, that's a good reference because that's, Dick Stilgoe. That's relevant to the old erectile dysfunction thread.
Of all of the threads that you've tried to impose on an episode, I think this is one of my favourites. Erectile dysfunction thread.
Yeah.
It's not all about communication. It's all about erectile dysfunction.
It is. In this case, it really, really is. And yes, there's a couple of references that we will that are worth cross-referencing to the Insider's Guide, because there's the Andrew Lloyd Webber element, which is quite fun. It's a great example of the way that creativity happens, I think. Is it Steve that talks about having overheard?
Yeah, there was a businessman who was trying to make a point, and he just said, "I am Andrew Lloyd Webber."
Yeah,
that was all it was, and that went into his book, and then from that book went into another notebook and into another notebook, until suddenly, when they decided they needed a character with dementia, they thought, "Oh, there it is.
That was the key.
There's the line."
Yeah, and that then seeded an entire, set of references to different characters in the life of Andrew Lloyd Webber and different shows and
that's the thing, is that with I don't want to sort of sit and read out this entire chapter of this book, but some of these little insights about them putting in specific little jokes that they know that barely anyone's going to get,
Yeah.
but it's almost there for them, about characters or people who auditioned for Andrew Lloyd Webber roles and didn't get them and someone else did.
Yeah.
And that's just snuck in there. Yeah, there was also a script deviation on the Andrew Lloyd Webber thing, when he's in the bath and he asks Natasha to close the door. It says close every door for me.
Yeah.
And he corrects it to close every door to me, as it should be from Joseph in this Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder why they got that wrong in the script.
Yeah, I don't know whether you do know it's supposed to be close every door to me.
I don't know. I don't actually know the musical very well.
I've never seen Joseph in his Technicolor Dreamcoat. I know there's something about closing the door.
Exactly. And another, I must have missed this YouTube clip. But the "don't touch my penis" reference.
The moment I saw that line, I've written down Australian Chinese man. Which for you, if without knowing what that meant, would have probably been quite puzzling had I come out with Australian Chinese man. And then to my delight to find out that that line was taken or inspired by the video of the man being arrested outside a Chinese restaurant in Australia, which you have now seen.
Absolute classic. It's so good.
Look, I'm under what? Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. Have a look at the headlock here. See that chap over there? Get your hand off my penis! This is the bloke who got me on the penis before. Get some cups. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal? Oh, that's a nice headlock, sir. I see that you know your judo well. And you, sir, are you waiting to receive my limp penis? Now, get your hands off there.
Like every line, I just cannot believe that it was not staged. It's ridiculous.
No, it looks like an acted scripted piece.
Like he nails every line that he delivers in that. Yeah. It's so good.
We'll pop it in the show notes.
Yeah, that's true.
Something I don't think we've ever mentioned.
Show notes.
The show notes. Pop it in there.
No, because it's the problem with mentioning the show notes is you've got to remember to put the things that you say I'm going to put in the show notes.
Don't mention the show notes. Yeah. Just put the clip in.
I've found that doing other podcasts. I'm like, yeah, you've actually got to remember what you've promised to put in the show notes. So then we go into the first. It's not a flashback, is it? How would you describe these?
Don't know. I guess it starts at stage 5.
Yeah.
And then goes 4, 3, 2. Are there 5 things to it?
There are, yeah.
So if it starts at 5, then we go back to 4. 10
minutes earlier than the beginning of the previous part. I just made notes of things that I'm like, yeah, that's kind of absurd. Like, why aren't you wearing any clothes? I was just doing some painting. Oh, cool.
That's a normal thing to say.
Take that. And there was a missing bit between, I want to say Julian, Victor, and Percy, where they talked about Percy asked him, "Was I a good father?" In the script.
Yeah.
And Victor says the best. And so they've cut that.
Is it a bit much for him to be having that conversation and indulging it almost? I don't know. Is it timing, or was it that feels...
I think it was unnecessary.
Cruel? Yeah, unnecessary, and almost a bit too cruel.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think it's not really about that. Because there isn't much of I don't think him being a good or a bad father is relevant.
Because there isn't another moment of that at any point, is there?
No. No, it's not like we're seeing a sort of deviation from a story about him being a really bad father, and then, actually, this can't be his son because he's saying he was a good father or
Mhm.
anything like it. Yeah, I just don't think it was necessary to the arc of anything really.
Yeah.
Notice the music had a similar vibe in this section to A Quiet Night In,
Oh, yeah.
like a little motif that I was like, oh, there are similarities between those two episodes. You know how we see or hear similarities in the music when there's a supernatural
Mm-hmm.
bent and you get the sort of strings doing their thing. I'm not sure how to describe the music here, but like obviously intruders in the house.
Yeah.
There's a intruders in the house sort of theme.
Vibe.
Yeah.
Home invasion motif.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just something in the mind of Christian Henson. Oh, we're doing home invasion. I've got something for that.
My home invasion theme. Another line, you must be Charles.
So May said that. Well, May didn't say that, rather.
May was in the script saying that
Yes.
to Victor.
Yes. But who is Charles?
Charles is May's husband.
Ah. Okay.
What would that have done if...
So that would tell her that that's telling us that she knows.
That would tell us that she's worked out that he is, or she's working out that he is the person there to assassinate her.
Yes. No, because Charles isn't the... Oh, maybe.
No, because she knows that Charles is her husband.
Yes, yeah, obviously.
Presumably.
Yeah, that may... Well, we're tying ourselves up trying to... Yeah, okay.
So then
So
she's trying to figure out, okay, is this guy an intruder? Is he the person who's here to kill me?
Well, I guess she knows at that point that he's not good news because he just goes along. He would just go along with, yep.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, that's my definite. Well, you're definitely not. So you are bad news.
Yeah.
I'll probably end up sticking a screwdriver in your neck.
I'll make sure I've got that screwdriver to hand.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why it went.
Yeah, because it just goes then to them. I think she asks or says something about the mystery man or something.
Yes, that's in here.
Yeah.
That Natasha had been talking a lot about him. So then we get some stuff that is more location based. I know you're concerned about the lack of location based stuff in the script.
Mm.
They turned up, and instead of it being a 5-door Aga, it's only a 3.
Is that so in the script it's a 3-door Aga?
It's clearly a far more lavish house than they were expecting, because it's also jumped in value from 460 to 860,000 pounds.
Almost doubled. Yeah.
It's probably those extra couple of doors on the Argo.
I would imagine so.
Did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 in the script, 5 in reality. Although, to be honest, I don't think we saw enough close-ups of it for me to count Argo doors.
I counted the Argo. There were 5.
Oh, were there?
But then I was thinking, most of the Argas that I've encountered in my life
all right, mate.
are 5-door Argas. I think.
The idea of them fills me with horror. They're just always on.
You can't leave your gun on the top of it.
Yeah, I know. Where am I supposed to leave my gun? They're in the amount of things I would melt if I had that. Just pop that on the sun. No, don't know. Something's melting again.
You leave a plate on there.
Awful, cracked.
Oh, cracked.
Glass.
Glass of beer.
Oh, everywhere. It would drive me up the wall. I'd lose track of how many times I said, that bloody Aga.
We need to get rid of that bloody Aga.
We need to get rid of that bloody Aga. What's wrong with a nice normal range cooker? Come on.
Or just a microwave. Just a kettle for your pot noodle.
Yeah. So I think we've now moved to part 3, because I think the estate agent is with us.
He is now.
Young Steve.
Brash. The brash young estate agent.
The brash young estate agent. Oh, this character is so good.
Michael McIntyre.
But I think I had forgotten that Steve played this part. And I think I genuinely thought it was Michael McIntyre after our last conversation about it.
Amazing.
When I saw the floppy hair, oh, Michael McIntyre. No, it's not, is it?
It's not. Oh, I love that.
But he is awful, isn't he?
Yeah, the most tragic. Yeah, I wonder, out of all Steve's characters,
Who is more tragic?
Is he one of them? He's definitely one of the most tragic characters for many reasons.
Yes.
Like pathetic and
desperate.
desperate. Oh, that line slays me. It really.
And actually, just jumping quickly to that line, it says in the script that was supposed to be delivered as a voiceover, but they actually went into the bathroom so you could see his face as he says it.
Yeah, I think it needed
but
to.
No, he needs to be on camera right now.
Yeah, yeah.
While he's showing him around the place, they clearly found an opportunity to add in a creepy, whilst Victor's looking in a cupboard, a creepy storage.
Yeah, that was completely not in the script.
Yeah, it was just nowhere. It jumped
Storage.
to somewhere. Yeah, it jumped to the bathroom door, I think.
Yeah.
At that point, but no, there's a little extra storage.
And it's that classic. It's almost like that horror film trope of you open a door and then you close the door and then there's someone there. And but the reveal of the someone there is storage. It's like great. Perfect.
There is very little as horrifying as a pushy estate agent
just following you around.
If you want to buy a house and you're having a look around it, you kind of just want to be allowed to explore that space, see how you feel about the idea of living there. You don't need someone following you around, selling it to you as you're going around. Do the sell afterwards.
Yeah.
Pretend you've received a phone call.
That's like car salesman as well, isn't it? Like,
just leave me to it. I'll have a look, and if I've got some questions, I'll come and have a word.
There was a woman who came in to look at the car this morning, and her husband's. Oh yeah, you got 5 minutes.
Okay, right. Well, in that case, if they want it, clearly not meant to be, is it? I guess it's exactly the same as when you're this horrible, insidious thing now when you're looking at buying things online, and there's a little thing saying 34 people currently looking at this.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's not. That's just not true. Oh, 50 selling fast. 51 of these sold in the last week. Yeah. Okay, I haven't got a context for that. If you got 700 in your warehouse,
it's like the thing. It's the fake like website overload things where it makes you. I don't know. Yeah, you probably get that on like ticket sales and things like that, where it's like it's not real. It just gives you it gives you the impression that so many people are on here trying to buy this right now that it's overloaded the website. So if I get a chance, if the website works for me, which it will next time that I refresh, because that's the way the tech sort of delivers it, then I'm like, I've got my opportunity to make. It's like, oh no, yeah, it's so annoying. And I mean, we all fall for it at times.
Well, we do, because it's clearly something that's kind of inbuilt into us. And
sometimes it's real. That's the problem, because it's real.
You never know.
It's real often enough to make it like, I can't take a chance. Yeah. A big change that I noticed was Victor saying, "Listen, I just want to talk to you." In the script, it was, "Look, I just want to talk to you." Totally different sense.
Well, he can't look. He's behind a door.
It's true.
So listen, that changes everything.
Yeah.
In that little section as well, there was a nice little non-directed bit when Reese drags Steve onto the toilet and then ends up underneath him, sat on the toilet, and has to kind of get out from underneath him.
I love that scene. I was watching that. And I'm pretty sure, and it might just be in my head, but I'm pretty sure there's a look on Steve's face during that scene where he's like, I'm being quite awkward right now. I'm glad I don't have to do anything. I can just...
I'm going to make myself as heavy limp as possible.
Exactly. And I'm assuming that it wasn't a dummy that was made in Steve's likeness, and it
I
was.
feel
actually,
like that would be. I've got some serious questions about how much money they're receiving
Yeah.
to make this program if they can afford to gratuitously commission dummies.
that was my thought. So yeah, I think there is a change. His
I guess
mouth,
they could
you
have-
just see his mouth curl up. I think a little bit of like satisfaction as to what he's making Reese do.
It could have been a dummy that they'd also used to fling across the room with a sheet over it for the gunshot to be fired at.
The ghost.
The ghost. And I've forgotten how much I enjoyed the bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Starts popping on his own face.
Impending. It's all going to be popped before long, and
Yeah.
he's going to be able to get himself out. Yeah. There's, again, a few lines cut where Percy and Victor meet. I think around the idea of like you weren't supposed to be here.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
only,
There's nobody else was supposed to be in the house. Yeah, I guess he doesn't know the character yet. He doesn't know all about the dementia yet, does he? At this stage.
No.
So he probably doesn't want to. He probably realizes actually it's probably best if I play it a little bit cooler here right now and just kind of go along with whatever seems to be happening with this old guy in the bath, rather than flagging there was no one else supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Why?
And I think he does, because he adapts to the situation. I think throughout the episode, actually, there's a consistency to the way that Victor adapts to things and just sort of runs with, okay, right, I've got to take my clothes off now and I'll do that.
And it's the first scene we see him in when he comes downstairs and May's there talking to the removals guy.
Yeah.
And he just kind of slots into the conversation.
And it's like, my cakes are in the oven. Yeah. And everything is, because he
He's a
is
chameleon. He's a chameleon.
and he's come highly recommended. Like he is good at what he does. Obviously he's been kind of shafted by May really in this situation. Like,
May's done her job very, very well.
Exactly. It's not that Victor is really bad as a hitman. It's that she's just sort of done him, and she's
thrown a
better.
spanner into it. And
yeah, because it's like if you compare it to, because when it was like, oh, there's no one else supposed to be here, it reminded me of Fargo, where Steve Buscemi's character is just terrible at what he's supposed to be trying to do. And yeah, everything is like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. And like, it's kind of that similar vibe. And like, he can't cope with the change of plans or like things not going to plan.
Victor can.
But Victor can. And there's a difference. And I think that it was right that was cut for him just to then slot into, okay, we're playing along with this Andrew Lloyd Webber situation.
Yep, I can go with this.
Yeah.
He didn't, however, follow the direction to reload the gun before dealing with the body in the rug.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
So I don't know when that gun got reloaded. Oh, got him.
Oh, there it is.
Dennis Norden's here. Got my clipboard and my big glasses on.
Shrek and Mate. Every week we do it.
Got 'em, boys. Join us again next week when we'll drive a nail into the coffin of
every episode of Inside Number 9.
You will not leave an episode of this still enjoying an episode in the same way.
We're here to undermine and eradicate
the erectile dysfunction. This episode is brought to you by Newman. That'd be quite the way to announce a sponsorship, wouldn't it? By just threading everything back to erectile dysfunction and then announcing a partnership with a company that sells treatment for it.
From here on in.
You know what I think this episode's about? No, it's not. I think this is about healthy green supplements. Athletic greens. No.
No. This is about razors.
Oh, bunches of knives.
Harry's razors. Is that still a thing? I never hear that on podcasts anymore.
Harry's razors you can now just buy in any supermarket. So I don't think
not
they
just
need
off podcasts.
to sell. Yeah.
No. What about
Manscaped? Manscaped is ubiquitous one.
Mattresses you don't hear. very
Mattresses. Oh, Simba mattresses and Eve mattresses.
often.
It is now just
They,
dodgy supplements, isn't it?
yeah, to be honest, if I hear supplements advertised on a podcast, I stop listening to that podcast. That's a new rule that I have.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it really annoys me.
Raycon.
Who's he?
Dodgy headphones.
Oh. I think we're cutting the ties to any potential.
If you're a supplement brand or a low quality audio brand, not interested. Sennheiser, however, get in touch. And Newman.
New man. I mean, I advertise them anyway.
They call me Richard Stilgo.
They call me Dick Stilgo. I'm hanging in there.
Good grief.
Right. Part 5.
Have you pulled yourself together?
Sausages.
Sausages. Go on.
A few references to sausages in this episode. I've just written sausages make an appearance and I can't. It's really annoying.
Is that because Richmond have been in touch? Or Walls?
Yeah, why have I written that? Everything makes sense when I'm making notes in the moment.
Oh, Bratwurst.
That's it.
Bratwurst. Why didn't you just write Bratwurst?
Well, sausages are referenced earlier with the conversation about vegetarianism.
Sausages, vegetarianism. Who's vegetarian?
Victor's vegetarian.
Was he talking to the... Victor has a conversation with Hugo. And this is when Hugo's doing his best to be a chameleon. As people-pleasing estate agent would do. And Hugo's saying, imagine coming down those stairs every morning, cup of coffee, dog padding through with the wife. Sorry, dog padding through with the paper. Just dragging the wife along in his jaws. Wife, smell of bacon, cooking it. She doesn't smell of it. Victor says, I'm vegetarian. Me too, good call. We'll live longer, my friend. Let them choke on their sausages, eh? That's it.
There you go. That's a really good point, actually, about the chameleonism of estate agent and hitman. There's like there's a similarity between Victor and Hugo, them being one and the same. Victor Hugo.
Victor Hugo. There you go.
There you go. Yes. Author of
Hunchback of Notre Dame and Les Miserables.
See, yeah, I think that Bratwurst reference actually is in keeping with the thread, because it's a euphemism, isn't it? He's been acting so strangely, it makes perfect sense. All those conferences in Dusseldorf never once brought me back a Bratwurst.
Oh, you stumbled on it. Ah! You never once brought me back a brat, but you're right.
Yeah.
He was too busy bringing back Bratwurst for Natasha.
Yeah. Who then says, look, darling, you can't be worrying about sausages.
Well, that's easy for her to say.
Yeah.
She's
Exactly.
getting all the sausages.
I really like sorry, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place.
You jump all over it.
The voiceover, which I don't think I ever picked up on from Percy, where he shouts, Sarah, these pajamas are leaking again. I think we should send them back.
Yeah.
That really made me laugh.
Leaky pajamas.
I just love the idea. The problem is the pajamas. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so then we have the Home Alone scene, using the dictaphone to make a phone call and try and control.
I usually use my fingers.
Well, I never use my dictaphone.
Very on message for the episode.
There we go. Oh, this is awful. What have we done? We've descended. That was good though. That worked well.
Cheers. She does. I thought that was brilliant. I like the because I guess that within within the episode, there's like a little microcosm there of her needing to set something up to make it work slightly further down the line as well, where she's got to feed her the lines to get her to say the things she needs her to say until she hasn't done it very well and she runs out of things and she's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. It's the fact you've planned that, but you haven't quite got exactly what you need. So then there's the responses back from Charles, which are, what? Because the fact that she's got to say something about May.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because, when's his birthday?
It's in May, isn't it?
May, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, the tone of that doesn't quite work for the context. And it's a great scene. It's great. It is. Yeah. No, I just love the going back and revisiting these episodes in this way, because Once Removed again is another episode that I don't think is there at the forefront of my mind when I'm thinking about great episodes of Inside Number 9. But it is a great episode. Like, it's a really good.
It is, in terms of, one of those ones where they decide to screw around with structure and things. And I think we said when we first went through this series that we really got the impression that they were starting to sort of flex things a bit and go, look what we can do here. We can do an iambic pentameter episode. We can do one where we just mess up the structure of it completely and screw around and see what we can do. Even though it then became an absolute horror show to try and then film.
Yeah.
But I like it. It's ambitious and like nothing. I hadn't seen anything like it before or since.
No, exactly. And it's like it's one of those, because they reference sort of Memento and but you think about someone like Christopher Nolan doing Memento. It's like the amount of stuff that goes into creating a film that has that structure to make it work. It's like, well, we're just going to do that as one of 6 episodes of it.
There's something nice about it not descending into just flashback after flashback after flashback that are then tied up at the end. I quite like the fact that it's almost linear in a way.
Exactly.
Because it is still a linear storyline. It's just the order of it screwed up. You haven't got stuff going on in different timelines and things like that and it all being all over the shop. It is still a linear progression through that story. It's just you're receiving it in chunks.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, it's not a because like one of my biggest bugbears is flashbacks in things. I really can't stand, especially things that jump to when they have like a psychological bent to them and like, try and weave in all sorts of like trauma and things like that. I'm just like, I'm not interested. Like, it feels like lazy storytelling because it's like you're not doing the work of telling the story in the present moment. You're using this almost a gimmick to do the work of the exposition and all that sort of stuff. This is nothing like that. It's like, it's the structure of the episode is basically, as you say, is chunk. Okay. Jump back, chunk. And actually that's much harder work than it could otherwise be.
Starting at the end and like you say, people then going back and watching it to kind of just pick up on all the little bits they've just seen. But you almost don't need to, because you almost get that rewatch feeling when you get to the end anyway. Like, oh, that's what that was. Oh, exactly. That's what that was.
It's like,
oh, that's.
And I think they say,
for you.
They say it's kind of like you get a twist every 10 minutes, essentially. Like for those people who are like, where's the twist in Inside Number 9? It's like, well, just go and watch this episode. You get like 5 of them. So if that's what you want to.
And if you want a good reverse Chekhoving.
Oh, exactly. If that's what you're into.
Oh, one thing I did think, it doesn't happen inside Number 9.
It doesn't.
Nothing happens inside Number 9 in this episode. It's all supposed to happen inside Number 9, but nothing happens inside Number 9.
This is the only episode of Inside Number 6.
Well, that was quite interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. And that takes us on to an email that we received this week.
That was skillfully done.
That was very well done. Yeah, so Carolyn sent us an email asking about the box in Bernie Clifton's dressing room. Because, again, there's a slight bit of ambiguity about, what number is on top of that box. Because Tommy brings it in and lifts the lid. The way that he is seeing that box, he's seeing a 6. He lifts the lid. It shows the camera the 9. And yeah, I mean, it's a great email. Thank you, Carolyn, for sending your email. I think personally, it's probably nothing other than the fact that they just wanted to do the reveal of the 9 to the camera. And so if they'd done it the other way around, it would have been a bit confusing because we'd have seen a 6 as the audience. But yeah, she made the point of like, often a 6 and a 9 have a line underneath the correct, like whichever end it is that is supposed to be the correct end. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. What do you think? Anything?
No, I think sometimes you have to make a choice, a director's choice. How's this going to look on screen?
Yeah.
And if I'd turned that episode on, I opened up a number 6 on that basket just so it looked like he was looking at a 9. I know which one I prefer.
And there's probably not another box that is the real number 9 box that's just full of hairs.
Oh, you mean like rabbits? Not wigs.
Yeah, no.
Look, a bunch of toupees.
Great.
Right.
Well, I don't have any more on this.
I don't. I've had fun.
Rinse that one numb. And that's what you'll get if you go to Newman.com. Oh dear. Yeah, if you have anything to say about this, anything that sort of not about our episode, we know, don't worry. But about Once Removed, get in touch via Twitter at AQNIN9 or via email, aquietnightinsideknow9@gmail.com. Next week, or To Have and To Hold,
Bombay Bad Boys.
Let's get the kettle on. All right. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.